Let me begin by referring to a quote I read. Give us back our future. We've had enough of your past. Give us back our country to live in, to grow in, to love. It holds a lot of meaning because for far too long we've been dictated to and pushed around by our government. It's sad to say that it is our fault. We've allowed this to happen. We've become a nation of armchair protesters. We got comfortable with Andy Kenny and his crew that tried to take advantage. What they didn't realise was that they poked the sleeping bear in us. We have risen now and we are ready to fight back. We are known throughout the world as fighting Irish. Let us use those words in the form of protest and join together as one and tell the government they have gone too far. We have the eyes of the world upon us now, our brothers, sisters, sons and daughters that had to move abroad because of this farce of the government. They are watching us eagerly, hoping and praying that we succeed, wishing they could be part of our protests. Yesterday, the Offaly County Council voted a motion of no confidence in Irish water. You, the people, did that. You got out and protested, and your local councillors heard you. So to them, we thank you. We will be organising another protest on the 6th of December at 2 p.m. We'll have flyers sent out to the houses in the next week or so. We can't stress enough, we need people out in their numbers. Some people have the attitude that there's plenty out there walking, they don't need me. Yes, we do. We need your children out there too. 150,000 in Dublin at the last March. It's only a drop in the ocean. There's 4 million people in this country. Stand up and be counted. Over 1 million no contract, no consent forms were sent back to Irish Water. That is 1 pack per household. 1 million. Imagine a whole family coming out and marching. It would be amazing. There's also a protest being held on the 10th of December. It will be a Wednesday. We would like to get as many on board as possible, so if any of you are interested in going, we can organise a bus to bring you. You can leave your contact details with us in private mail or on Facebook. We say no, Edenderry says no, Ireland says no. Thank you for listening.
For a minute about foreign nationals and their role in our protest. As you know, we've had an influx of people who've chosen to make Ireland their home over the last few years. They're affected by the water charges as much as we are, and yet they're grossly underrepresented in our marches. We don't know why this is. One possibility is that perhaps they simply don't know about the protest in advance. To combat this, we've decided to print flyers in a number of languages ahead of our next march so that everybody in the town knows about it. Another problem we face is that they may only receive information about the marches from the media, which is, to be honest, either ignore the protests entirely or portraying us as violent rioters. We're doing our best to dispel this image and want to distance ourselves from the people who only want to fight. But we also need your help. These people are our work colleagues, our neighbours and our friends. We need you to tell them about the protest and to tell them that they're welcome to stand alongside us. No matter where you were born, this is our home. Finally, this is the awful part. You may have noticed we have a bucket at the door. I can't stress this enough. There's absolutely no obligation on anyone. We know how hard times are. But if you'd like to throw a couple of cents in to help us with the cost of the flyers and the posters, which we're paying for at the minute ourselves, we'd really appreciate it. As I said, there's absolutely no pressure. Unlike Enda, we won't be interested in emptying your pockets as you leave, and we definitely don't want your PPS numbers.
Me again. Basically, the Edenderry Says No page was set up. Myself and a friend of mine we were seeing stuff online, and it was stuff that concerned us, and we hadn't seen a fat lot of people from Edenderry talking about the water charges, about the safety concerns, about the street being ripped up. We hadn't seen much at all, so we started the page up basically as a public forum for people from Edenderry to have the voice and for us to pass on information as and when we found it. We've been overwhelmed by the support that we've been given. The page, I think, is now up 820 likes now. Posted pictures being shared. We've got people from all over the country taking notice of what Edenderry are doing. And this basically comes down to the hard work of the people in front of you, the hard work of the people sitting next to you. And from all of us, thank you. It's much appreciated. Cheers. I'm just going to pass on the mic now to Colin quickly.
Good evening. I'm Colin Quinlan. I work for Unite Trade Union, which is one of the 5 trade unions who fully supports the Right to Water campaign. I've also been living in Edenderry for the past 15 years. I had the good fortune to marry a woman from Edenderry, so my wife's from Edenderry, my son was born in Edenderry, and my daughter was 3 when we arrived. So notwithstanding the fact that I might have blown in, I'm very happy to be here. I'm very happy to, in particular, be sitting beside the good people I'm sitting beside here this afternoon. I've been asked to talk about the National Right to Water campaign. Who is it, where did it come from, and what's it about? And I think the best way to describe the Right to Water campaign is the way they describe themselves. Right to Water is a citizens' campaign. We believe that water is a human right, and we are seeking the abolition of domestic water charges. Full stop. So it's a citizens' campaign. It's supported by 5 trade unions. It's supported by all the opposition parties in government except for Fianna Fáil. But any of those groups who are involved are absolutely adamant that the success of this campaign to date, and it has been a very successful campaign, is down to the fact that it is seen by those who make decisions as a citizen-driven campaign. There are 6 or 7 people to my right who might have known each other to a certain degree before they started conversations on Facebook, and who decided they had enough and knocked heads together, threw a few bob into a bit of a kitty to raise a few flyers and try and create awareness and generate some reaction in Edenderry to the problems that have been faced all over the country with this regressive, unjust, unfair tax. A first march yielded about 70 people, and a second march, those numbers in the lashing rain increased tenfold. And I was very proud to march on that day. So certainly, I think that what we have seen in Edenderry is absolute evidence of community activists starting a movement and generating a huge amount of support. And I'm delighted to hear there's going to be another march in Edenderry, and I'm expecting the numbers will be bigger. And I think the message has been sent out loud and clear. The campaign has been running through the 2 March periods focused that we'll refer to already, and there are other events lined up which I'll talk a bit about now. On the 10th of December is National Human Rights Day, and on that day there's a protest in Dublin City. It's not a march, just for people who are thinking of going. It is a protest outside the Dáil. Huge numbers are expected. It's timed, it's a Wednesday. It's not a very suitable day for people who have to work, but it is a suitable day for the people who work in Dublin to be able to go down at lunchtime and participate in that march. There will be speakers from Detroit who have a very adverse experience of off-balance sheet utility companies becoming privatised. It will be addressed by people from Greece who have similar experience, and a further 3 or 4 different international speakers will be addressing that campaign. I was at a press release this morning and, of the National Right to Water campaign in Dublin, and there were 3 clear messages come out from that campaign. Number 1 is the campaign is working to date. As a consequence of this campaign, we won't all have to submit our PPS numbers. We won't all have to guess how much our water bills might be, because the original plan to cap bills for 9 months is expected to be extended to at least 4 years tomorrow. We won't, there are a number of other aspects that have changed. We won't have our water reduced to a trickle if we can't afford to pay, and we won't have the government reaching into our pay packets or into our social welfare entitlements to take the money off us, unlike what has happened with some of the property tax issues that have been in place. So there has been a significant amount of success. I suppose the biggest success is that the rates will be capped. They'll be capped at approximately €170 for a single person and €270 for a household with more than one adult or more than one person in them. And there's also a commitment that rather than the focused reliefs that were announced in the budget, they'll be abolished. Anybody who registers will get a €100 kickback from the Department of Social Welfare. So there has been a huge improvement in respect of what's put in front of us. And indeed, anybody who does register will be paying a significantly smaller bill initially, and only initially, than they otherwise would have. But the problem is the sums don't add up, and there is no capped water fees don't make any conservation contribution to the challenges facing this country. So the strong view from the National Right to Water campaign is that we're certainly taking serious steps in the right direction. The success of the campaign to date has exceeded expectations. The success of the campaign is primarily attributable to the fact that the people who are marching are not the people who marched in the past. There are a lot of protests cyclically that have been happening primarily around the cities in Ireland, and they don't get an awful lot of attention because the TD is saying it's the same people saying the same thing, and no matter what we do, they won't change their minds. But the biggest success of this campaign has been based on the fact that people who never previously took to the streets are taking to the streets. So the first message from the press conference I was at this morning was that certainly we are having some success, but we're not finished yet. We're not going to be calmed by the Sky Sports type of notion of half-price Sky for 6 months and then the full load after that, or free internet for 3 months, but you have to sign up for two years at a big rate. The sums don't add up, and certainly to date we have achieved a commitment of caps that should remain in place for 4 years, all of which are reversible, by the way, if there's a change of government after the next election, and I think a lot of people in this room will be hoping that there will be. But certainly there's been a certain degree of success to date. But the sums don't add up. If you want to set up a utility company off balance sheet, they have to be self-financing for 50% of their expenditure, and with the charges that are in place now, that's not going to happen. So the rates that are now being talked about, that have been postponed until March of next year, are an attempt by the current government to buy some time and take the short-term focus and try and distract people by saying, in the short term, we'll be doing a lot less than we had planned. The numbers would all say in the long term, the type of numbers I think that Aaron referred to down there of €600 per household will become inevitable if this proceeds on the basis in which it's been proceeding to date. The second message that I received, or that was put out by the national campaign today, was centred around the leak documentation. And again, it was described, I talked about it earlier, it was described as an introductory offer and warns that people should read all the small print when assessing the campaign. The campaigners pointed out the likely new flat rate charges would be highly regressive, since a low-income household would end up paying the same as the affluent household. It was also noted that the new system would do nothing to promote conversation or conservation. That was the second key message that was put out. The third key message that was put out, and there's a bit of stuff went on at the weekend, the unanimous view of all the various sectors who met yesterday, or Monday yesterday, was that the campaign was not well served by the pictures of violence that we saw on television. So the third message that was sent out loud and clear was that peaceful protest is the only way. Be peaceful. If you can't be peaceful, stay away. So that's what's been said nationally. As I say, the planned protest outside the Dáil on the 10th of December would happen. Anybody who wants to travel to it, certainly I know your local activists here were trying to be organised for people to travel together if they wish to travel. But there is also a campaign down here, and very often politicians may pay more attention to things that happen outside Dublin than happen in Dublin. Primarily because protests outside Dublin are rare. And I do think that the next campaign that's launched in Edenderry, it is very important that, notwithstanding the gains that have been made, to ensure that we see this thing through and return to a point whereby what we pay for water already will fund our water through the progressive taxation system that's deemed to be in place. So that's all I'll say for now. On a final point, as I say, not only have we got the time, effort, ingenuity and collection of the people beside, but they put up their own money to do things. So there is a voluntary collection here. It's been referred to already, but I would ask those who attend if they can in any way support that collection. It will be, I'm assured, whatever is collected will be closely monitored and accounted for, and it may generate a little bit of a fund for the next time we go out. Thanks very much.
Hello everyone, my name is Chris. I'm from Rochford Bridge there in County Westmeath, and Aaron asked me to come over. I'd like to thank him for that. So this whole Irish water thing, I'm wondering what it's all about. And we're thinking to ourselves, what's the point of it and everything. My slant on it is, when Ireland entered into a bailout with the IMF and the EU and the ECB, they were told to re-implement and restructure water charges in this country. In other words, how we pay for them. Now, it's ironic that 3 months beforehand, Fianna Fáil abstained from a UN resolution on human rights to make water and sanitation a basic human right. And 3 months later, they entered into this deal. Now, any exchequer would know that there was trouble coming down the line, and I firmly believe that's why they abstained from it. The other reason I'm against the whole Irish water thing is because it's part of a thing called neoliberal privatisation. And basically, what it is I don't profess to be an environmentalist or an eco-warrior, but I'm environmentally conscious. And in 40 years' time from now, there could be a water shortage in Europe or the UK. Now, if that happens, due to the geographical location we're one of the wettest countries around. Imagine somebody got their hands on the control of that water supply. Imagine what could happen. They could pipe it out and sell it to whoever they want. And the EU and the IMF are acutely aware that possibly down the road, water will be sold and bought like gold or oil or silver or any other commodity. And that's why I'm against it. If you don't even agree with water charges or you don't agree with Irish water, I think the main thing is here that we try and abolish Irish water completely and have water services returned to the local authorities. And that will prevent privatisation down the road. And how do we do that? I suppose what we do is we have meetings like this. We go around and we speak to the community. In Rochford Bridge, we had 7 meetings. It started off with 7 people, and then there was no room for seating by the 7th one. And when Irish Water arrived in our village, they arrived unannounced. They started to dig holes. We had a text alert and we had 2 Facebook pages. And what we done was, we all come out, we went around to the estate and we told them to sling their hook and the guards arrived. And there was a bit of a melee, like, you know yourself, the first time you see the bite of the enemy's eyes, your adrenaline's going and then everything settles. And we turned around and myself and another person, we've done a bit of digging with laws and stuff. We said we'd chance our arm, you know, and see if we could get away with it. So we said to the guards, there's this thing here called the Miscellaneous Housing Provisions Act. And he says, well, what's that got to do with anything? And I says, well, in one particular section, it's paragraph 19C, it says that it's against the law to bring or attach any object onto any person's land without the prior consent. And he says, well, what's that got to do with anything? Your stopcock is outside. I says, yeah, but I paid for the stopcock. It's a private estate. It's infrastructure of my home, and they've no right to tamper with it. So I said, look, Sergeant, at the end of the day, if you see that happening, I said, you can ask them to leave. He says, you're nitpicking. I says, I don't think so. So we had that one okay. That worked. And then we told them that they were breaking the Consumer Protection Act, which they are. Irish Water are actually breaking more laws to suit themselves against all of us here. There's just one there. It's called aggressive commercial practices. A trader can't engage in an aggressive commercial practice. And a commercial practice is aggressive if by harassment, because as far as I'm concerned, it's harassment, coercion. When they pull up outside your house and the coffee workers, that's who the contractors were in our area, do you know you can go to prison if you don't let us put one in? You know we'll have to ring the law now. That's coercion. You don't have to engage with